Hi, I'm Corey. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. This is the fourth one-sheet wonder in the 5.5 by 4 and about an 1/8 inch size, but it's the second one that I'm going to be including in the file folder journal. So even though this is just the prototype and not the actual one I'll put in, I chose this out of the options because of the way it coordinated flow-wise with the one we've already done. So this is the one, this was number 3, if you're counting it that way. And this is the one we finished in the last video. And this is, I don't know if I had this one decorated or not last time I shared. But yeah, this is the one I used as a sample. So this is the one, the first one that we're going to be putting in the file folder journal. And I chose this one again just because it works well. It's not the same, it's different. It's a pretty simple plan, but it coordinates really well with this. And so let me show you this one. This is the one we will be making. It has an opening with the Velcro closure similar to the other. Now it'll be much sturdier once it's sewn in, because this one will be sewn, you open 2 pages and it'll be sewn into the signature or into the journal right here down the middle. So right now I've just got it lightly tacked with glue, but once it's sewn in, it'll be, you know, I didn't want to put too much glue in there because then it wouldn't open and close correctly. So, okay, flap in the front with the Velcro closure. And then the first page has a top tuck. And this type of top tuck is I use a lot of times for a notepad. So these are one of the notepads I made in the Mass Make March notepads. And it's not a perfect fit. I could have made it a little bigger, a little wider, but this is what I had done. And so I'll probably use that in this journal. It's got that band, the top slide down band in it. It's got a side tuck on the next page. Then the third page has a bottom corner tuck. Now you could, if you wanted to, make this into a notepad by doing one of the lift ups. I didn't on this one, but maybe I will on the other. And then a top tuck on the opposite side. So you've got a bottom tuck, a bottom corner tuck, top corner tuck. And then what is it? What page number are we on now? So the cover, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Page 5 is just a standard top to bottom vertical belly band. And then page 6, or the inside back cover, has a tuck and then a tuck. So a double tuck pocket like that. And then the back, it wraps around, and this Velcro closure acts as a belly band. So you actually have a belly band on the back. So a lot of real estate, a lot of options. You can really chunk this up or make it thin, just depending on what you want to do. This is made with a one piece of 12 by 12 paper, and this was all that was left. And I suppose I could save this and do something with it, but I would probably toss that. Maybe. Well, maybe not. All right, so let me give you the directions on how to make this one. Before I do, though, I got a message, I got a lot of grief about the way that I taught both the file folder cover and the other one-sheet wonder. And I understand that person's perspective. That person mentioned that I was treating them like an idiot because of the way I gave my directions. And please know that's not my intent. In my experience as an educator, people learn in different ways: auditory, kinesthetic, and visual. Some people need all 3 of those ways. Some people focus more on the auditory, some people focus more on the visual, some people focus more on the kinesthetic, the actual doing. And as an educator, my goal, or in sharing these, my goal is to be able to benefit everybody. So, you know, my style or my method of teaching might not be a method that works best for you. And that's the beauty of YouTube. There are tons and tons of paper crafters, and it shouldn't be difficult to find somebody who better suits your learning style. I want to make sure I leave as few people behind as possible. So if I over-explain, my apologies, but I've had people say that it really benefits them. And of course, you're always welcome to fast forward or speed ahead, or again, just find a channel that has a teaching style that better suits you. So that's my rationale for doing it. I try to make sure that I hit all the types of learners in a way that makes the most sense to the most people. All right, having said that, let's make this piece. And if you didn't watch the first one, the reason this is a piece of paper from the Tim Holtz memoranda collection, I guess. And somebody had mentioned that the 12 by 12 paper is no longer available. And that is probably largely true, simply because Tim Holtz announced it, I don't know, a couple of years ago, that he would no longer be making the 12 by 12 paper. And I just happen to have quite a bit of it left, and I use it because you can see all the different patterns on one piece of paper. And when I'm building something like that, I don't have to worry about the variation. I know that you're going to be able to see the different pieces that I put on, and just for the sake of samples, it works really well. And that's why I chose to use it. All right, step 1 is you're going to cut a 1-inch strip. So this is a 12 by 12 piece of paper. You're going to cut a 1-inch strip that's going to be used as the wrap. It'll be the back tuck spot and the front wraparound. So when you're looking at your paper and you're going to make a horizontal cut, so you decide which piece you want to show. And honestly, on this one, it really doesn't matter much. There's no like people heads or things like that. So it's not going to be, I don't know, hugely detrimental if you go one way or another. Just for the sake of ease, I will cut 1 inch off the bottom. And you don't have to have a paper trimmer. It's handy, of course, but you don't have to. You can use a ruler and a straight edge, and you're fine. So here is my 1 inch, and I hope I put that straight. Yeah, here is my 1-inch cut. That's going to be the wraparound band. And we're going to do the same thing that we did last time. We will do the cutting first, and then we'll do the building. This one isn't as particular with hiding things and tucking things, but still, that seems to make a lot of sense. So 1-inch strip, I'm going to put that aside. While I've got it this way, so this is, if I'm looking at the paper directionally, I now have an 11 by 12-inch strip. On the 11-inch side, I am going to cut it at 5.5. So I'm cutting that 11-inch piece directly in half horizontally. And now I've got two 5.5 by 12-inch sections. My next cut is going to be, here's my, I should have done this. And my apologies, I should have done that before I started this so you can see and take a screenshot if you want to. I'll move this to the side, pausing to do this. These are my directions. Oh, maybe there we go. All right. So my horizontal cut, and it says to trim that to 10.5. We'll get there in just a second. And then I cut the horizontal 5.5. And then it says cut both vertical sections, these two sections. I'm going to cut them vertically to 8 1/4. And I can be intentional about what shows, what's going to be on top. So let's see, on this one, I think I want this flower to show. So I'm going to cut this, let's see, to 8 1/4. So I'm making sure I'm getting to the right mark, and I'm cutting this to 8 1/4. And then that means this particular panel will be mostly that flower. So cut that one to 8 1/4. And then now I need to cut this second section to 8 1/4. These are again both 5.5-inch pieces. I need to cut them to 8 1/4. And I'm going to cut that flower section off to 8 1/4. All right, now I have two panels left that are 5.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And I'm going to put those aside for just a moment. I've got two pieces at 8 1/4 by 5.5. And these, and you can decide which you want the inside, which you want the outside, just based on the patterns or images that you have. If you've got something that's solid, well, that's not going to really be an issue. These two pieces, I am going to score at 4 1/8. So 4 1/8 and 4 1/8. Okay. And then I will just kind of fold those in half, and then I'll look and see, what do I like together? Do I want that together? Do I want it like this? The J is right there. And some things are going to be hidden and some things are not. Do I want this as the front cover, or do I want this as the front cover? Those are all things you can decide. You've got a little bit of flexibility and a little bit of option. You know, maybe I want this to be the front cover. I actually like the way that looks. So I think I'm going to have this piece be my front cover. And let's see. Maybe I'll like that. Maybe I actually kind of like it like this. So you're going to decide on which pages are your inside, which pages are your outside. At this point, you can cut them back and forth, whatever. But the bottom line is you've got two of the identical sections, and you're going to sandwich one in the other. Now, when you do that, because of the dimension of the paper and the thickness, you're going to notice that you've got this little lip. It's like maybe a 1/16 of an inch or something like that. Let me make sure I got this straight before I trim anything down, because of the roll and the pattern of the paper. If I don't have this perfectly straight, because I could have moved it when it was on my scoreboard, I have a little bit of wiggle and roll room right here, and I can rescore it and make sure they match up a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. And I believe I said I wanted this one on the front and this one on the inside, and I like the way that look. Okay, here we go. So you can see there's just a little bit of an overlap on the inside piece because of the fold and the crease and the displacement. So what I'm going to do now is just take literally a sliver of this off. I don't want to go all the way down to 4 inches because that will make it a little bit too small. So I'm going to move it up just a smidge, so like a what I call a wide 4, and I'm going to trim that off. I don't know, a 1/16 of an inch or less, I guess. So I just trimmed that off. And now when I put these two in here, they're flush. The edges are flush. And it just gives you a more pleasing result at the end. Okay, so we've done this piece, the long 1-inch strip. It said trim to 10.5 inches. And you're going to save the scrap, of course. So I'm going to decide which section. Let's see, I decided that I wanted this on the front, or did I want this on the front? I actually kind of like that on the front too because of the color, but I also like this on the front. You know what? It just doesn't matter. It's going to work either way. So I think I'm going to take the 1.5 inches off of this side because it's a 12-inch piece. So if I take off 1.5 inches, that brings me to 10.5 inches. So I'm going to cut 1.5 inches off this, and I am saving this piece. I think I used it for something else, somewhere else. I believe I did. We'll find out. All right, and then this is going to be my wraparound. And so I loosely do this because I tend to tuck things very full. That's just kind of how I make things. And so I'm not going to fold this snug around here. I'm going to wrap it loosely so that I have a little bit more wiggle room to make it wider or not, depending on what I put inside this piece once I've decorated it. I'm going to put that up to the side. All right, then my remaining pieces. I'm going to cut those. So here's my flap. I need, for the first page, I am going to use a thin band on this one. And here we go. Cut, score both at 4.8, did that. Okay, cut one of the 2 remaining panels. So I've got 2 remaining panels, right? That's these 2 pieces. I've got those scraps, these 2 remaining pieces. It says cut one of the 2 remaining panels vertically a 1 inch. So I need a 1-inch strip of a vertical cut. That's going to be for this here, the belly band. Am I in frame there? There we go. So I'm going to try to decide which piece I think would look good as that belly band. I look at both sides, maybe right here. And I need a 1-inch piece, a 1-inch wide piece. Cutting it vertically, 1 inch. Is that right? I don't want to steer anybody wrong. Yes, that's a 1-inch piece. Okay, So I'm going to cut that 1 inch piece. And there is my piece for my belly band. All right. Okay, vertical 1 inch cut. And now I need a vertical 2 inch cut. And that is going to be for my side tuck, the side tuck here. So I'm going to look at this and see, I'll probably use this piece just because I think that'll be pretty. And I will do my 2 inch cut. See, that's right, 2 inch. And then I've got this 1/2 inch piece remaining, right? And that is going to be, so I've got these 3 cuts, my 1 inch vertical cut, my 2 inch vertical cut, and my 1/2 inch vertical cut. That was with one of the panels. And those will go right, the 1/2 inch panel will go right here at the top for my belly band, or my top belly band, I guess. Okay, that will go here, and I can choose whichever side. Now, pattern wise, I really like the yellow with the yellow, so maybe on this one, on the sample, I put the tuck on the inside edge, but maybe on this one, I'll put it on the outside edge, simply because I like the way the patterns go, for no other reason than that. All right, so those 2 will go here. And then I'll flip this over, and I've got this section left. And this section will go on this page as my belly band. Yeah, this will go right here as my belly band. Don't love it with that paper, but that's okay because a big card's going to be tucked in there, and I'll leave it right there. Okay, I'm just putting it where they go so I don't forget. Now I'm going to do this last piece of panel, or this last panel that I've got. I'm going to cut it horizontally, so this way, cutting it horizontally at 3 1/4 inches. So I'm going to go here and cut it at 3 1/4. And I can choose, do I want 3 1/4 this way, or do I want 3 1/4 this way? I think that gets more of the rows, so I'm going to cut 3 1/4 this way. And I've got 2 pieces left. Okay. Now, this section I am saving for the back pocket tuck. That's a puck. I'm going to save that. But this section right here, the one that's 3 1/4 by the remaining, with that remaining panel by 3 1/4, I'm going to cut this at a diagonal, and that's going to be my 2 inside pockets, my top side pocket and my bottom side pocket. So I'm going to cut those. I'm just going to use the points and line them up on my trimmer and cut them in half. And so those will be my 2 pieces. And I think that is it for my cuts. So one will be up here and one will be here. And if I didn't like this, if I wasn't pleased with it, I could turn it the other way. I could put 1 piece here and 1 piece here. I actually like the other one. Well, that's kind of pretty too. I don't know. Do I like the other one better? I like that the patterns are the same. Let's see. Do I like the flowers? I don't know. 6 of one, half a dozen the other. I think I will go with this, and then I can use more bold color on the inside. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. Okay. And then I've got this section remaining, and this is going to be my back piece right here. It's going to be my tuck. And oh, that's right. This piece right here, this one that little bit that I saved and said we're going to put that aside, I am going to round that corner, and that is going to go here as my little front tuck. So I'm going to round this corner. Rounding the corners is absolutely not essential, but you can if you want. Round the corner, round the corner. And then even on this belly band, I chose to round the corners so that it would coordinate with the page next to it. You don't have to. And I think I decided I wanted it this way. So I'm going to round these corners. All right. And then these are not rounded, of course, because there's no need to round those. And flip that over, and this piece, I could round the corners if I wanted to, but I'm not rounding it on this piece on top, so I don't feel the need to round that one. All right, now I just kind of glue everything. I've got all my pieces in the right spot for my booklet. And because I'm an ink person, I am going to ink this before I glue it in. You can ink the rest of it if you want to at the end, but before I glue these down, it's significantly easier to ink them before I do that. And the way I do this one so that I can fit that notepad in there, this is, you'll see it's longer than that section, which is really fine, because I'm going to fold it. Now, I don't really want the word "the" showing, but it's going to have to show a little bit. So I'm going to make this one just a tiny little fold over. All I did was fold it over. And then I'm going to lay it down in here towards the top. And then I take this piece and I wrap it around the edge. I don't want this fold inside the crease because that will impede opening it and closing, but I want it right next to it. And then I just wrap the end around the page like that. And then I lift it up and I fold them down. So I've got a piece that looks something like this. If your pattern allows it, you can fold it equally apart. Honestly, it doesn't matter on this. I'm going to ink that edge, so I'm going to have the word "the" there, but I can always cover it with something later. Maybe I don't like the word "the" and I'm going to cover it with a piece of tape or something, or some washi or a pattern, or I can put a flower or a decal there or something. All right, so I've got that inked. I've got these two flaps. Now they're not the same depth. It doesn't really matter. What they are is they're a way for me to glue these in without losing any of my pocket real estate or my tuck real estate. And so I glued just those flaps where I've turned them in, and I'm going to make sure it's mostly straight and put it on the top just inside the crease. And I'm going to lay it on top just there. And I do that because, and then most of the time I will do this and just lay it down, because when it's dry, then I have the whole length to tuck my notepad in. That's my reason for doing it that way. If you don't want the extra bulk, you can just glue it down flat and make your notepad a little narrower. It'll work just fine. But that was my reason for doing it. All right, then I have this side tuck. I'm going to I'm going to ink the inside edge of my side tuck. And this is why I should not make videos at night, especially on days that I work. But this one is a very straightforward. I would consider this very much a beginner-friendly project. And again, you don't have to put it inside your journal as a signature. You can leave it free-floating, or you can use it as a gift. And this is going to be on this side simply because of the pattern and how it lines up. And I'm going to put glue at the top, maybe 1/4 of an inch. And let's see, it's going to go down on this side. So I'm going to put glue down on that edge, because this is not a belly band. This is a side tuck. And then along the bottom. And that will be glued down right here. I'm going to take this out. This is the inside piece. I'm going to take it out. Let's see, I'll move this over a bit. I'm going to take that insert out so that I can glue this down and make sure that I'm lining it up straight. Because since I'm going on the outside edge, I want to make sure that this is pretty flush. You've got a little bit of wiggle room to get it right, but not a lot. Art glitter dries mostly quickly. And so I've got it lined up, and then I'm going to use my magnets. I can clamp it or what have you, but I'm going to use my magnets to hold that in place while it dries. So now what I've got here is the inside back piece, right? Because we pulled out this insert. So I'm working on the inside back piece. And this is my very back inside page section. So I'm going to glue this down, and I'm going to ink that edge again. I know some people prefer to do it this way. If you're an inker, ink however it works best for you. And this tuck, I am going to glue just on the far right side and the bottom, the area basically that's not rounded. I'm going to glue that down, and I'll tuck this down on the bottom corner. Yeah, a little bit of it seeped out the bottom. Totally okay, because I can clean my glass mat. And then this little tuck that goes on top of that was our leftover bit. And I am going to ink that and do the same thing. I'm going to glue the side and the bottom on that one, so it's a tuck on a tuck basically. And I will lay that down here. And then this is dry by now, so I'm going to take those magnets and I'm going to move them over here. All right, while that is drying, I'm going to open this up. I'll move this to the side. Maybe I'll move this to the side. Okay. While that is drying, so this is my insert piece, right? This is going to be the piece that goes here. I open it up, and these are my two corners. Now, this paper I've had for a long time, and when I tore it out of the notebook, when I tore it out of the pad that it came in, a little tiny bit off the top tore. No big deal at all, because I am going to cover that up. It's not going to show. And I think I decided I wanted to do it this way. Let me double check. Yeah, I really do like it better that way. So I'm going to ink, I'm going to ink the top tuck inside edge. The outer edges can all be inked later. You don't have to watch that procedure. And I'm going to glue that down right here like this. And the long angle of this triangle, I am going to leave alone. I'm not going to get into the properties of triangles. I teach 4th grade this year, so we talk about those things, but you don't need to hear about them, that's for sure. Okay, and I'm going to lay that down, and I'll use my magnets again, and then I'm going to ink the bottom corner and do the same thing. I'm going to leave the longest angle, longest diagonal, I suppose I should say, the longest diagonal unglued, and I'm going to glue the bottom and the side. A lot of times when I'm gluing something, especially if it's something that's square or rectangle, I will hold the edge where I don't want the glue. And that'll remind me, don't put glue here when I'm doing a tuck or a pocket or what have you. It's just a way that I can prevent myself from gluing something I don't want glued. All right, and then I'll do that. I'll move this over, and this is dry by now. And then I will pick this up. So here is my front cover. Here is my inside page. This is the back inside cover, and that'll be the back outside. All right, so while that is doing its magic, did I decide to do it like this, or did I decide to do it like this? I don't even remember. I could top this with a bit of lace. That might be kind of pretty for contrast, but I don't have to decide right now. So I'm going to ink these edges because I'm going to tack this on just very, very lightly, just like I did the front and the inside sections together in my previous book, simply because when I sew this into my signature, I am going to have the signature seam will hold all the pieces together nicely. So I don't need to worry about that. Now, if you're not going to sew it into a signature, if you're going to use it loose, then you want to adhere these. You could just sew these two pieces together, just using a pamphlet stitch or 3-hole or 5-hole pamphlet stitch, what have you. So you can attach these pieces that way. However you're deciding to sew it, you can put all 3 of the pieces together and then sew it that way, or sew it directly into your signature. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay, these should all be dry now. And then the last piece that I need to glue is my belly band. And did I do it like that or like that? I decided I think I want it like this because I don't want that belly band to stand out quite that much. Now I can put something else on top of this belly band. I don't have to leave it like this. In fact, you know, a die cut flower or something, one of the long skinny Tim Holtz die cut flowers would probably be a great thing here to take away from the partial words. Partial words don't bother you, then that's, you know, that's perfect. But if you would rather not see those, you can also stamp on this before you put it in, you know, put a little background text on it. And it wouldn't show that way as well. Okay. I don't know why that's not straight, but here we go. See what I mean? You have a little bit of wiggle room to flex it when it's that close. And I'm going to glue this right down here in the middle, on the top and the bottom, because this is a vertical belly band. All right. And I will go, and this is just over 4 inches, so mostly centered. Top and bottom flush. And there we go. All right, here is my front, here is my back, and there is my inside piece. And here is my back wraparound, my closure. What does that say? Managers? So I can decide which way I want it to go. Maybe like that. And again, I usually do this really loosely until I've completely stuffed whatever I want to put inside the little book, because a lot of times it will shrink. All right, like for example, the sample that I made, I'll show you here. So this one closes this way, and I gave myself wiggle room. So if this, and I can close it tighter, that's the nice thing about these Velcro, but I have room. Let's see, does that show? I have a little bit of room there. So if I put a notepad in here, or a little booklet, or some thicker journaling cards, or some ephemera bits, or what have you, I still have room to close it. So something to keep in mind. If you're a person who does really thin things, that might not be a needed item. Okay, so I've got essentially my 8 panels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to tuck these back in together. And if you are doing this as just something that was going to be free and loose, you could do your pamphlet stitch right now, or sew it on your machine if you preferred, whatever you like to do. Just make sure that you're going to center this so that one of your stitches, if you're doing pamphlet stitch, one of your stitches catches this wrap closure. That's why one of the reasons I do a 5-hole when I do a pamphlet stitch. I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I know it's going to stay in place. Again, that's if I was not putting this in my journal or in a signature in my journal. Because I don't really want to do that. I want to just glue it in place so it's where I want it to be. So now my front cover and my back cover, and I'm going to make sure these are mostly straight and lined up. They should be pretty good because I checked earlier. This is the front. I want to put it on the back and make sure it's right side up. Doesn't matter the order. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue in the back center to hold it in place. If I need to lift it later, no problem, but this will hold it in place while I'm finishing all my pieces, while I'm waiting to sew it into my signature. Just want to hold it in place like that. And the same idea here. I can put just a little bit of glue right there. And again, that's just to hold it tight and in place until I'm going to adhere the signature together, or to adhere these two pieces together with my sewing and my signature. And it's loose, but I just want to make sure that it's going to fit, and it is. And that is, oh, I forgot one thing, the Velcro. Now, I do it now simply because it helps hold the whole thing together, but you can do it later. And again, I make sure that I've got a little bit of wiggle room. Personal preference, I do both Velcro dots at once, and I want them roughly in the center. These are a little bit bigger than the ones I used last time. They're just the next size up because this is just a little bit bigger journal. Or a little bit bigger strap, I should say. Closure, hinge. I want to make sure those are straight, that they line up. There we go. And we'll put that there till it dries. Again, I only used a tiny bit of glue so that I wanted to make sure that I didn't glue the paper together, that the glue didn't seep out and hold the paper closed. I just want the glue on the Velcro dots. And that is that. That turns into this right here. Open the cover. First spot, I know I showed it at the beginning, but in case somebody wants to see it again. And this one's been inked, so you can see with the ink. That there, and then I've got a tuck spot right here. I flip my page, I've got a tuck spot. And I could grab more journaling cards or what have you. Tuck spot there. I could put a notepad in there. I could put a fold over. I could do a concertina. Anything, really. I can do a couple different pieces of ephemera if I wanted to, like stack them or layer them, right? You have lots of options. Then I open or turn this page, and same idea. It's a little bit short for a standard postcard, but you could put a couple pieces of postcard or maybe one journaling card and one postcard in like that. And then you've got your back tuck back here, you know, for a tag or a postcard or what have you. You can still decorate if you're wanting to put stickers or flowers or clusters or what have you. And then you've got your spot in the your belly band spot in the back, and that'll hold whatever you like. So lots of options. Okay, I asked, that's the one sheet wonder. That's the second one sheet wonder that I will be including in the file folder journal. One of the questions I was asked, and I haven't had a chance to respond to everyone yet, but I did read them on my lunch break. One of the questions is, what did I do with all these samples? Because remember, this is the video that just did not want to cooperate. And I finished decorating them, so I will show you those. And I honestly don't know. Maybe I'll sell them at some point or what have you. So that is this one completed. I can't remember if I showed you this one. I think this is the one I showed you completed, but maybe I didn't. No, I think this is the one. Okay, so those are the pieces in here. Hidden notepad, scrap pad, inside, front, and back. And then there's a tuck spot in the back. So that's that one done. And then here is this one. Whoops. Front pan, right flap, side flap, right flap, left flap. That's it. Right flap, left flap with ephemera bits in there. And this is just a fold over little pocket. I think this one's a paper clip. Yeah, this one was a paper clip with just some bits of ephemera in there. And the little fold over pocket. It's not a big or deep pocket, so I wanted to make sure it fit. And then that's just a paper clip that goes, well, maybe it goes. Okay. There we go. Paper clip that goes on there, little bits of ephemera. This lifts up to a notepad. This has got just a stamped image with some vocabulary cards. Open it up, couple bits of ephemera. It looks like that's kind of a library card. And I think this is a piece of the Tim Holtz ephemera turned into a journaling card. And here is the journaling card that I had made leftover bits. And then this is a rub-on and just a Tracy label with piece of washi. And then this is a Tim Holtz journaling card that I tucked in here. This is the hidden journaling flap, and inside here it's got a double notepad, a scrappy notepad and a standard notepad. And let's see, that is the front, and then the back of this one just has a couple of pieces, like a journaling card and just a little flip over note pocket. And so those are in the back of that one. Here is one. I put a cluster on the front, a tuck on the side, a concertina, well, not concertina, this one's just kind of a flip up, flip down journaling space. Lift up here, there's a journaling, fold over journaling card. notepad. On the inside, I've got just a couple of different pieces of tucked ephemera, and that's a playing card. I just liked the way the Van Gogh flowers went with this. And this one had a little fold-over notepad and a fold-over journaling booklet. Tuck those in. The journaling flap has a piece of coffee-dyed tracing paper, a notepad, vocabulary card, and some postage stamps, and a little coupon, I think is what that is. Close these up. And then the back on this one just has a couple of, a vintage postcard, a smaller postcard. And I think this was a Tim Holtz or somebody's. I made it into a journaling card. I just backed it and made it into a journaling card. This one I think I had, I don't remember what I had, honestly. Put a cluster on the front. Inside has a notepad on the panel. This one has a flip-up journaling space. Same idea as the last one, a ticket as a tuck spot with a journaling card and a notepad. Inside here is another Van Gogh flowers playing card with a different color scheme. I did not back these. You can use these as a journaling spot if you choose, or make it like a concertina thing. This one is a journaling spot. This one I left alone because some people like them with the whatever's on the back. And then this is just a very, very plain journaling card. And then this is a ticket with some rub-on on it. It's a bit of ephemera. Same idea, vocabulary card, postage stamp, and a coupon. And the hidden notepad. And on the back, fold that up correctly, on the back of this one, same idea as the last one, just a couple vintage, I think this one's a vintage piece, I'm not sure about this one. And that is that. And then this last one, a tiny cluster on the front, a notepad on the inside right flap, a flip over on the inside left flap, tuck spot on the top, notepad underneath, flip it open, and then there's, this is a different playing card, it just kind of black and white, but the colors are, it's not even black and white, it's tan and white. And then a couple of journaling pieces. I think those are both from the Tim Holtz ephemera pack, or the layers pack, I'm not sure which. And rub-on flowers and butterflies into a little notepad, and then just a very simple journaling booklet. There's a tuck spot in here. I should have put something in there. I will. At some point I will. Before I give it to its new home, whatever that may be, I will put something in there. And then open this up, and then a flower with a pink base, a vocabulary card, and then that coupon again. And then the back of this one is the same ideas, those two pieces just tucked into the pocket. So those are the completed ones of the, I had so many because the videos were never working and I had to keep redoing it. So that is the second piece that we'll be putting into our file folder journal. I intend to put a couple more pieces in, and I'm hoping that later this week I will be able to do the signatures and get that going. And then I don't know that I'm going to decorate it, just because that's not the main focus of this. It was more about the assembly, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Maybe I'll just kind of show you basically what I do. I honestly don't know. But I will finish the assembly on this file folder journal, and I will get that done hopefully by the weekend. That's my goal. All right. If you've got any questions, please feel free to put them below. I will answer them as soon as I am able. I appreciate you. I appreciate your kindness. And I'm always open to constructive criticism and feedback, because Lord knows I can always improve. But I am intentional in how I share and what I share when I'm trying to teach, so that I can get as many people as possible. Happy creating.